Thank you.
You can join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gentlemen, would like to join me up at the podium here. We'll have a proclamation here for the Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Clermont County. And who do we have? Cindy Jenk. Come on up.
And I would like to ask those who are here on behalf of CAPS and Adult Protection Services if you can come up here too.
All right, squeeze on down. Get you on the camera. So this proclamation states that whereas Clermont County's more than 30,000 older adults will increase in number by 120% between 2010 and 2020 and deserve to live safely with dignity. And whereas with the increase of the elder population, abuse to adults aged 60 and older has become more prevalent in our community. And whereas elder adults of all socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds may be targets of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, which occurs in families, long-term care facilities, and communities. And whereas in 2006, there were 257 reported allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitations of elder adults in Clermont County. And whereas protecting Clermont County's elder adults is a community responsibility and is imperative that communities work together to help reduce and prevent abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And whereas Clermont Senior Services serves as an advocate for the elderly and encourages all citizens to watch for signs of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of elder adults and report it to the Department of Job and Family Services. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim that June 15th of 2017 as the Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Clermont County, signed by David Painter and Commissioner Humphrey and myself. So Cindy,
Wonderful.
we'll do that. Give you this, and I think
Thank you very much.
you love the podium. You're a great spokesperson.
It gives us
the
a
elder.
chance to get our message out. It does.
You're very good at that.
Well, thank you.
Why don't we move out of the way and give them?
Okay.
You guys all come up
Come
behind
on
me.
down. They've got.
Come on down.
Hey, Deborah, this is yours. Okay. I really am so grateful for the commissioners being aware enough to realize the importance of elder abuse awareness. And sometimes it's a very silent problem in our community, and yet it continues to explode in terms of the number of cases. Commissioner Ubel mentioned that we had 257 cases reported to us in 2016, but when you put into perspective that in 2008 there were only 124 cases, I think that really puts it in perspective that we are seeing not only more cases, but they're far more complicated than they've been before. And you know, it's kind of a microcosm of what's happening with the older adult population, because we certainly just continue to grow in numbers. The Scripps Gerontology Center, Miami University, projected that we would be more than doubling our older adult population between 2010 and 2020. And in fact, today we're at about 43,000 people in our county, 60 years of age and older. And by 2020, we are looking at 51,000. That's another 10,000 people in the next 3 years. So not only does that provide for us this wealth of experience and expertise, but it also provides another side, a more polarized side, and that's that those who are the most frail, who are the most vulnerable, are those who are most likely to be abused. And abuse is more than just physical abuse. It certainly is abuse, self-abuse, neglect, self-neglect, and exploitation. And exploitation can take many, many forms. And in fact, what we've seen in this increase is not just this increase in population, but the increase in even the opiate addiction problem in our community, because what happens is we have folks who are being exploited even by family members. And that's a very, very sad thing. And the more we're able to be aware, the more we are able to come together, and we are able to really look specifically at what's going on in our community and observe. And if we see something that might not be, it doesn't seem right, you're not judging. You're not making a judgment that that's an abusive situation or an exploitative situation, but you are saying, I'm observing this, and we ask that you call us. And we ask that you call DJFS, and in fact, Deborah will be sharing that number with you in just a second, because that's where you need to make those referrals. We are grateful Clermont Senior Services is the contract agency with the Department of Job and Family Services, and our organization does the investigations for all of those referrals that come in Clermont County. And we have a team of investigators. We have a chief investigator, and Deborah is another full-time investigator. We've got some backup investigators, but we can't do this alone. And I'd like to ask if I could just have Deborah share the CAPS program with you, and we have representatives of CAPS up here with us today. So I would appreciate if she would do that.
Hi, I'm Debbie Hines. I'm an Adult Protective Service investigator, but part of my job also was to help develop the CAPS team, which is Community Advocacy and Protection for Seniors. And so the group behind me are just a small portion of some of the agencies that have joined with us to help raise awareness of abuse, and also to help bridge the gaps for seniors in Clermont County. So CAPS is a collaboration of these community agencies. They partner with Clermont Senior Services, Adult Protective Services, and so collectively we address the gaps in the service delivery to elders who are abused, neglected, and exploited. The concept is to bring together the community partners to better serve the elderly who are being abused, neglected, and exploited by addressing the gaps in service delivery to the elders. The purpose: to improve response, to engage professionals from a variety of disciplines, and to provide consultation on specific cases. So part of what we do, we divide up in two groups after we get there. We meet once a month, and there's about 20 agencies that meet with us. And part of it is case review, where we look at actual cases that we have done or are working on, and discuss the case and better ways maybe to address the situation, and how we can better utilize the agencies that are involved. We identify the service gaps, and the other goal is to decrease elder abuse problems. Our mission statement: to prevent, recognize, and end abuse, neglect, and exploitation of older adults in our community through partnership, education, and advocacy. Some of the groups that are involved with us, we have the a prosecuting attorney's office with us, with Ernie Ramus. Steve Rogers is a detective with the Milford Police Department. We have Karen Scher of the Mental Health Board, is that correct? And then Edna is the supervisor for Adult Protective Services. But we also have the Alzheimer's Association represented, the Sheriff's Office, Clermont Mercy Hospital, of course Clermont Senior Services, the DD Board, Miami Township, Milford, Mount Carmel Christian Church, Park National Bank, the Probate Court, Pro Seniors. We have home health agencies, Union Township Police Department. We have an attorney who does elder law. So those are a few. And then we just joined up with the Ohio Crime Victims Justice Center, and they will also be a part of our team. So we've got a good group of people who are helping to raise awareness of abuse in Clermont County. Ernie Ramus is doing presentations to the different agencies, and he has a 15 to 30-minute presentation that has been developed through the team, the CAPS team, and he will come out to any agency. I think he's been to the Rotary clubs and some different places that are interested in what's going on in Clermont County as far as abuse. And so that has been very helpful to the CAPS team and helping for our goal to raise awareness of abuse. The number that a person can call would be the 732-7173. Now that is Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, who we contract with. So that's 732-7173. And if you suspect an abuse, that would be the number to call. They in turn will call us and we will investigate. And if you have any questions, feel free to call Clermont Senior Services and ask for an Adult Protective Service representative. There's also the crisis hotline. Some of you are, I'm sure, familiar with Clermont Mobile Crisis. They work with us also, and they're part of our team. That is 528-SAVE. If you know someone with a behavioral or mental health issue, maybe a senior with dementia that's exhibiting behaviors that concern you, you can also call Clermont Mobile Crisis. But one of the many agencies we work with, and I guess that would be it. Thank you so much.
Let's head up front. We'll do a quick picture.
Yes.
We do.
Some may have to get it.
He's arranged for.
Just a couple pictures. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And 1. Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you did.
Okay, next on our list is we have the presentation with OSU. So we've got Kelly Royalty and Gigi Neal and Margaret Jenkins. Come on up. We'll watch the PowerPoint presentation, correct?
Good morning, and thank you for having us. We just wanted to come and give a brief update. We've had a lot going on since January and just wanted to give a programmatic update of all of the things that we've been doing and, of course, the activities that we have coming up this summer. So first, with 4-H Youth Development, our first is our volunteer development. So we started back in January with all of our volunteer development. This year we have 202 volunteers who are working with our 4-H program. And of course, our volunteers are vital to our organization. So they're the ones who are really interacting with our 4-H members in the community and working with them, and of course, partnering with us on all of our activities, trying to help make sure that all of those go smoothly and provide their time and energy and resources to not only our organization, but also our members. We also, as you can see, some of the pictures here, the one in the middle on the top, that was at our 4-H conference. This is an activity that happens in Columbus, and this is a statewide event. So hundreds of volunteers and youth from across the state come to our Ohio 4-H conference and go through approximately, there are 300 sessions that are offered there. So if you have an interest, there is a session for that. And one of our parents, down at the bottom you can see, we also held a new family night that we'll talk about in just a second. But they were found that really helpful, and they were thankful for not only our staff, but our volunteers for donating their time. Next is our teen leadership. Other direction. There we go. Our teen leadership development. The picture on the left-hand side, that is Erin Jennings and Melanie Matheny, who were able to attend a Washington Leadership Workshop, which is held in Washington, D.C. every summer. They also attended our legislative luncheon. So at this event, they were able to go and speak to their legislators about their experiences and the opportunities that 4-H has provided to them. The middle picture on the top, that is from our newer family night. So there are a lot of opportunities that are available through 4-H, and coming in as a new family, it's sometimes difficult to navigate and know what exactly is available to you. So we had members and volunteers come in and share their experiences and the things that they were able to participate in through their experiences with 4-H, and help new families kind of navigate that process. On the right-hand side, on the top, is our camp counselors. So we had 18 camp counselors this year. They go through training from January through June, and they have to attend at least 24 hours of training, so they get a leadership component with that, as well as, of course, program planning. So they are responsible for planning our entire summer camp from beginning to end. So they are responsible for making sure that all of our flag ceremonies, our signatures and vespers, as well as all of our camp sessions go off without a hitch. So they're responsible for planning and executing those. And then down at the bottom, that is our Look to Clermont class from this past year. This is the event that they held at the end of the year. It's called Look to Lead, and they provided a leadership day for all of their peers to attend. That event was held at our facility on the fairgrounds, and they were able to, similar to our camp counselors, planned the entire event, brought in guest speakers, as well as provided different activities and led those activities. And with our Look program, I should mention, we do have 43 applicants for this next year, and we do have representatives from each school district throughout Clermont County. Something new we were able to do was expand our STEM programming for several schools. So the top picture on the left-hand side, that's an activity from Wild About Kids. So this is actually a summer program that we provide with Wild About Kids for school-age students. So they have individuals who attend their facility throughout the summer, and we come in twice a week and do STEM programming with those school-age students. The middle picture on the top is from a STEM night. We partnered with Seipelt Elementary and had approximately 200 students and parents attend the event. And then the other pictures are from our Chick Quest program. So this is something new that we've had a lot of requests for in the past year. So we partnered with several elementary schools to provide this program. It's chick embryology, and so they get to learn about the life cycle of chickens. They get to hatch those chickens, and of course they think it's really cool. So thank you for Chick Quest. It was awesome. I learned the life cycle of a chicken. I also learned that Ohio is the second largest in egg production, and I think 5th grade should do this every year. And that came from a 5th grade student from Meadowview Elementary. And then county camp and state trip opportunities. We actually just came back from camp late yesterday afternoon. So we had 70 campers and counselors attend, and we meet at Camp Graham, which is in Clarksville, Ohio. But we had 70 kids come together. We also provide state trips. So in partnership with our 4-H committee at the fair, we hold the 4-H out booth. We have that all throughout Fair Week, and the money that is raised goes to camp scholarships. So these state opportunities bring kids together from all over Ohio for different activities. So the Washington trip is one of those opportunities that I talked about earlier. We also have a C camp and a STEM camp and a space camp, so you name it, there's probably a camp for it, and we were able to provide 20 scholarships for that this year. And one of the parents, from her perspective, she said, my kids are over the moon excited to attend their camps this summer. They learn so much at these camps and have continued friendships with other 4-Hers they've met and with whom they share similar passions and interests, invaluable experiences. So with that, we really want our 4-H members to attend camp. They get to learn independence. They get to learn decision making, you know, which session do I want to go to, behavior management, those types of things, as well as making new friends and really just getting outside and unplugging for a while. And then, of course, with summer programming, we do have the fair coming up, so we would like to invite all of you to attend the county fair. That's the last week in July, so we are underway with all of our summer fair planning as well.
I'm Gigi Neal, Agriculture and Natural Resource Educator, and this is some of the activities that have been going on. The Master Gardener Volunteers, I do have currently 19 of the Master Gardener Volunteers, and they are similar to the 4-H volunteers. They are an extension outreach from our office, so they go out into the community and help educate those that would like to learn more about horticulture and consumer horticulture and backyard gardening and integrated pest management, as well as just trying to grow something. So one of the programs they work with is the Cincinnati Nature Center, and it's a partnership that has been in place for numerous years. They work with the herb wall at the Cincinnati Nature Center, as well as the volunteers from the Nature Center themselves. They have helped to find a 5th wall at the Nature Center and a another bed that was there that has, I think they had mentioned that it was roughly 100 years old. So they're uncovering some new items there, helping to keep that in place. But also, even though they are out there helping to do some maintenance work, that's not their key goal. The key goal is education. So with that component, they put up little signs. They also go out there and provide information as just an educational resource person, and brochures and other flyers that are at the site also. And they do the same thing over at the pollinator garden. And that formerly, 2 years ago, was called the Butterfly Garden. And Cincinnati Nature Center and the Master Gardeners got together and decided to remove that bed. And so the Master Gardeners went in, picked every plant that was in there, took all the soil off of it, rinsed the soil off of it so they didn't carry any diseases or any weeds over to the new pollinator garden, and then helped to transplant, lay out all the foundation, and they continue to go over once a week and to do some light maintenance work, because now it's just down to making sure that there are no weeds there at this point of the season. Everything is growing great. Making sure that the deer cages are up so that the plants continue to grow and flourish. But then also, once again, putting nameplates. So they are working with Jason at the Nature Center to create not only the common name, but also the scientific name with some detailed information about each one of the plants. And then while they're there, of course, they're going through, and people that are there visiting, asking questions, and they're providing that information and resources too. Another big item that is with Senate Bill 1, with the fertilizer bill for a couple years ago, Ohio is putting into place fertilizer recommendations and requirements. So one of the programs that I work with is doing fertilizer training for anyone who has 50 acres or more of a crop that is for sale, and they apply that fertilizer themselves. If they commercially apply it, then they do not have to have this certification. But Clermont County has had, we are at roughly the 75 person mark, and I am hosting another workshop so that they can receive their certification before September 30th of 2017. After that, it will be a test-in option. Right now, they just have to sit through a class. And on August 31st, we'll be having one more final class for Southwest Ohio. So anybody, it's open to anybody in the state of Ohio to come to this fertilizer program. But once a year, we also continue to do pesticide recertification training. And with that, the the producers that have these private applicator license come in for a 3-hour training to recertify their license for another series of years, which is 3-year circulation. Not only am I providing a recertification, but also I'm a host location for the Ohio Department of Agriculture's pesticide testing, which offers testing opportunities for private and commercial applicators to come in on the 3rd Tuesday of each month at noon to be able to receive their licensure through the Ohio Department of Agriculture for pesticides. And then with pesticide and fertilizer, we like to make sure that you know what is being put onto your yard, your garden, or even your field crop. So soil sampling is a very important aspect so that you are putting on the right nutrients at the right rate, at the right time, and with the right source. So I do offer a soil sampling opportunity for you to come into the office. You turn in the sample, and then when the results come back, it provides the recommendations. Then after the recommendations, if you have additional questions, I can assist you with that also. On the farm management aspect of things, I work with a new and small farm program, and last year we hosted, there were 40 different participants that came to the new and small farm program. It's an 8-week series, and not only do I help with the small farm college, but also a conference that's held in Wilmington. But then, even though people don't attend this workshop and this program series, I still am constantly getting phone calls about, I've purchased new property in Clermont County, what can I do with it? I've got 1 acre, I've got 50 acres, but I want to know what I can do with my new property. And so I work with them on an individual basis also. And at the bottom, this is the second time I've been able to host the grain bin rescue training program with the cart from OSU. And we did this in partnership with Stone Lick Township, Fayetteville Fire Department, and also with Jackson Township. Our host location originally was to be at Stone Lick Township, but at the last minute, due to weather conditions, we had to move to a taller facility, so we ended up over at Fayetteville. But we did have numerous firefighters. I think we trained roughly 50 firefighters through the 2-day series, because I had a set of 25 that came on Saturday and another set of 25 that came on Sunday. And not only from Clermont County, but they were also representatives from Clermont, Brown, Butler, and I do believe someone from Hamilton also. And then with consumer horticulture, this is the time of year when I get, what is wrong with my tree? What is wrong with my tomato plant? What is this insect? And so these people come into the office and they bring me in a sealed container, whatever their item is, and then I help them identify it and then give them a recommendation to either control it or help to resolve their issue. And one item I've had calling into the office is bees, and I do have a swarm list on our county website, so that if you happen to have a swarm of bees, there is a list of people from area counties that will come out and collect your bees. But then also nuisance animals. I've been getting several calls of those, of skunks and coons and other items that other critters that they don't want to have in their home. So I do have a nuisance critter getter list also of licensed individuals from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. So that's another resource available also. And then Perennial School, which is held each year in April, is open to master gardeners, backyard gardeners, but it is a all-day workshop where individuals come in and learn about perennial gardens, what's new, what is pollinators, what is coming up and coming in the aspect of perennial gardening for their home aspects. We also do have vendors there, and if they are a master gardener, they do receive 5 hours of continuing education.
Morning, and I'm Margaret Jenkins, a family and consumer science educator at OSU Extension. And my programming works on addressing 3 healthies: healthy people, healthy relationships, and healthy finances. And I want to share with you the first 6 months of what we've been doing this year. Our Healthy Living series, a photo on the left there to show you the partnership that we have within the office, because there are some herbs there, and a program assistant, that Mona Glover and myself, we're harvesting them because we're going to be taking them to a class and using them in food preparation. Also showing here on the top, I have a Dining with Diabetes series that I work with in the office and in the county, and this has been going on for a partnership that's been going on for a number of years, where it's a cooking school, and what we're doing there is we're actually preparing recipes that are healthy for an individual with diabetes. Also, a Million Hearts program, a similar kind of cooking school addressing towards individuals who have heart disease. The bottom photo there shows our Interparish Mobile Food Pantry graduates last November. And this is a partnership that we have where we go to the mobile food pantry once a month over a period of 6 months and have a cooking and a health and wellness lesson going on, and then those individuals below there are graduates of it. And that's with Interparish Food Ministry. Food safety. A new addition that we have is we're offering Level 2 Food Safety, an online program. It's at the website. There is a increased need for it in the state, so we have an avenue where individuals from restaurants and grocery stores can do that. Another health and wellness initiative that I work with during the summer is food preservation. As Gigi said about her telephone calls, I get the other set of telephone calls regarding the green beans and the items that didn't process properly, and so I address those. In addition, offer monthly workshops, June through September, to assist with food preservation. It's on the rise, and food safety is critical. Our Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program is a partnership with DJFS, and it is a grant which brings in it brought in $126,000 in 17. It will bring in $140,000 in 2018 because we're adding another program assistant to help out with those classes. It is an obesity prevention grant, and so what you're seeing here, we service adults as well as children. So I'd like to share with you some of the numbers that we've served from January through June. We've done 250 programs, and extension programs is a term we use for many times individuals call them classes, but we call them programs. So we had 250 of those, and we served over 5,500 adults and youth in the first 6 months of this year. And so what you're seeing up there is we include in it health and wellness, the increasing physical activity. So you see some youth doing some yoga down on the right, and then addressing food shopping and how to read labels in the center there, and then a preschool program with Head Start, cooking preparation, and then we brought in a smoothie bike where the individuals ride a bike to prepare a smoothies, and then the classes addressing healthy eating and also beverages. And then healthy finances. All right, so our programming there is showing our Real Money, Real World program, the two photos on the right there. And we did programming in the spring, programming at CNE School, Felicity School, with the Look students, as well as the Easter Seals Summer TANF workers. And so we've gone through that literacy, financial literacy program. We're working on also for recertification, for HUD certification we'll be adding back into the office, so we're able to do home buyer education at a stronger pace in the future. I also wanted to share with you about partnerships that we have. Been working with the library quite a bit bringing in health and wellness programming there, as well as the financial literacy. And so that's very helpful for us and for the community. Wanted to share with you a couple of the quotes that individuals had. Thank you for giving our kids a real life lesson. It was a fabulous experience for them, and that was regarding real money, real world. And then the homebuyer ed, thank you for your guidance through the homebuyer program. I didn't think owning my own home was possible, but when I learned how to budget, I was able to make it happen. And thank you. And I'm going to let Kelly come back up here.
So we would just like to thank you for your support and then ask if you have any questions for us.
Any questions? Thank you.
Yeah, I know all of the departments in the county, we all have budget restrictions that we have to work with, and you guys do a great job given what you have. I know it's a tremendous resource to the county. I know as a someone coming out to buy 5 acres in Clermont County a couple decades ago, between yourselves and Soil and Water, basically I think we lived and have gone through all the different programs between my wife and daughter and myself, so you guys do a great job. And particularly, I think Gigi, we got Paul Brosh here today with, Paul, what is your title? Environmental quality, but Gigi does with the pesticide management and fertilizer, it's critical so we can avoid some of the algal blooms in the Harsha Lake areas and elsewhere.
If you haven't seen the video on how to take a soil sample, it's on the Clermont County government page. Office of Public Information helped put that together a couple weeks ago.
So.
What do you see, Gigi, on the horizon there when it comes to fertilizer and ground use? You know I hear some conversations every once in a while about, as the push for evaluating farm property obviously goes up based on production, so does the push for, added fertilizers and sprays and GMO products, and to make a better yield out of that, which obviously results in more runoff of pesticides and fertilizers. What do you see that correlation as we really push to make an acre of property produce as many bushels as we possibly can?
It's one thing they need to make sure that they're doing their soil samples, and it doesn't have to be done every single year. Once you get it completed, then you start a maintenance phase, and so you want to try and keep everything leveled off. And the one thing we're working towards is trying to make sure that we are not using as much phosphorus, because phosphorus seems to be one of the key components for the algae blooms. So we want to keep that out of the water stream. And as you may or may not know, nitrogen is actually a very mobile product, so we need to make sure that we are only putting on that right amount also, because that is another item that can in turn get into our water supply. But we do need to make sure that we are working with the farmers, educating them, and not only farmers, but our backyard garden and our landscapes and lawns and those people also, because that in turn runs into our stormwater runoff, which then in turn still gets into our water supplies because of the way things circulate. So it's a joint effort. It's a combination of working together as a team, not only with Soil and Water and with Paul also, with his program, but also that producers and backyard people and individuals just out there in the general community are doing every part that they can to help improve the soil that we have. Because as you know, and we see within this county, soil is there. We're growing crops. It's been a difficult season to get things out into this year, but we are trying to grow as much as possible on as little amount of ground that we currently have. But I will say that Clermont County agriculture is not necessarily declining. It is actually, from stats, actually on the increase. So we're finding some different pieces of property, some different pieces of soil in regards to growing our agronomic crops, whether it's on a small farm or large operation. But we all need to work together to improve our water quality.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the list today, we're going to have a update on the Community Alternative Sentencing Sentencing Center. Karen, are you going to be doing the presentation?
I think I'm starting, Commissioner.
I know we've also got Joe Palmer and Captain McConnell and Captain Hogue and Greg Phillips. So
I think my job is to tell you how we got here, and then they're going to tell you what they're going to do. I'm Karen Scher. I'm the Executive Director of the Mental Health Recovery Board. And the reason that we are talking about expansion of CASC, which is, as you said, the Community Alternative Sentencing Center, is that back in the fall, our Congress passed something called the 21st Century Cures Act, and it was then approved by President Obama. And it's designed to modernize healthcare. So this is a very far-reaching, encompassing kind of legislation. But one of the pieces of this legislation was additional funding to support fighting the opiate and heroin epidemic that is going across our country. And each state in the United States is receiving funding from this act. The state of Ohio received a little over $26 million. And we found out in January that the state had come up with a formula, in order to determine how best to use this money throughout the state of Ohio. And they divided all the counties into 4 tiers, and you were put in a tier based on the level of heroin overdoses you were experiencing in your community, as well as the need for treatment. Starting with Tier 1, which was the highest need and highest rate of overdose. Clermont County, unfortunately, was in Tier 1. I think everyone here knows that we are really one of the counties in the state experiencing this at a tremendous level. But that meant we had access to funding through this act. The money is filtering through the state department that we relate to, which is the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And they were required to put in a grant to the federal government explaining how they were going to use these funds. So we found out on a Wednesday afternoon that by Friday, close of business, we had to put in our request for this money, as it normally happens at state and federal levels. And I think because of the collaboration and partnership that exists in this community, we were able to come together very quickly and put together a request. And one of the things that was the focus for this money was being able to bring up a project that could start very quickly, they call it shovel ready, and that would have positive outcomes, that you could demonstrate that this program was doing something of significance in your community, and specifically about getting people into treatment and getting them into medication-assisted treatment. We have had a CASC program here for men in the county for a number of years, thanks to the, I think, foresight of the county administration and commissioners to see that this is something that would be of value. I should mention that we are the only county in the state that has this program, even though the law is in effect for everyone. And it only serves men, and unfortunately the heroin epidemic has affected women as much as men, if not more currently. So this was a gap in our system of care. And so we decided to ask for money to expand the current CASC program from serving up to 25 men to serving also up to 25 women. And we submitted this to the state submitted their grant, and we were notified a couple weeks ago that we got everything that we asked for. Some of the counties were modified in what they requested. We got exactly what we asked for, which was, in this year, $418,778 to open a women's CASC program, as well as an additional $22,000 for a recovery coach to expand our outreach team that is working with individuals with this addiction. This is a 2-year grant. As usually works with the federal government, you have to wait till money is appropriated to know if you will have the second year. So this first year runs from May 1st to April 30th of 2018. And if we do get the funding for year 2, it will run from May 1st of 18 to April 30th of 19. And what we would get in year 2 would be $788,278 for the CASC program, as well as $48,000 for recovery coaches and support.
what was
We
that,
are-
700, how much for?
$788,278. We feel very encouraged that this will go into a year 2. This was a bipartisan effort in the fall. There's a lot of support for this program, and because it's going to every state in the United States and starting all of these incredible programs, it would be very unlikely for them to pull the money in year 2. So we are very confident it will stay. And this is going to be, I think, a huge increase in terms of getting women into treatment, having them stay in treatment, and be successful. And this program, I don't want to steal thunder from the other people here, but it is not just about treatment either. It's also about helping people figure out how to move on with their lives, getting vocational services, and dealing with what's going to happen to them when they're back in the community, and getting linked to all the services and supports in the community that they will need when they come out of this program. This is a very creative way, I think, of using an alternative to jail to get people the help that they need, so that when they do come out, what they're going to do is solve their issues, deal with their addictions, and move on with their life. And so I think this is a great addition for what we're doing here in the community. I think I'll turn it over to Greg probably to talk a little bit specifically about what this program is.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming. You know, I just want to give a quick shout out to Karen. Shouldn't give herself enough credit. I mean, literally pulled this together, connecting to everybody, writing up the proposal in less than 48 hours. So I appreciate that, and appreciate you considering CASC for this expansion. So the handout I gave you is kind of just a summary of what we currently have in the CASC program. You know, it's 25 beds, and just kind of the services we provide, which is daily programming, 7 days a week, pretty much from the time they wake up until their time to ready to go to bed. So it's pretty robust, and it does involve some community supports, vocational supports. There's a lot to it. So the budget we have for the women's program is robust in year 2. The way it fell out for year 1 is our 6-month budget is going to be spread beyond 6 months. So we're still trying to figure out exactly what that means for this. But in general, the women's expansion, we have tempered down the size, and this is some requests from the jail and the judges as far as the budget we have is for 25 beds originally. We're tempering it down to 12. So I think our goal is to open September 1. We have to be open by September 1. So September 1's our planned start date. We're going to go with 12 beds. It is going to be a separate unit, and we can let the jail staff talk about exactly how that will play out. We're looking at about 8 FTEs. So we're going to have some blending of our current staff that we have there. The program manager will be over both sides, the men and the women's pod. But we're adding in additional counselors, additional vocational support, additional what we're calling residential managers. Those are folks that just do what we call meds, mops, and meals, the general daily activities that we need to get things done on the unit. The cool thing about this is we are adding in psychiatry. Well, medical. I think I put psychiatry on here, but we're adding in medical staff that we can bring on site. This is specifically because this grant is supposed to be geared towards opiates, and so our goal is to, if we have a doctor on site, we're estimating about 3 hours a week. That will allow us to get some of the medical physicals and prep for someone to start medication-assisted treatment while they're on site. Currently, we are getting folks into MAT that are at CASC. Honestly, it's a pretty good average we have there, but this will allow us to increase, since again the grant is supposed to focus on that, the number of folks that we can get in MAT. Now, we're increasing the number of folks with Vivitrol that are coming through that program, but it still does include buprenorphine for folks at that site. So again, about 8 staff we're looking. We're not exactly 100% sure at this point. We're still trying to figure out, based on Medicaid projections and our timing of when we start, how many staff we're going to actually get on site there. But we'll be able to cover the majority of what we're doing, all of what we're doing currently on the men's side. So, questions?
Sounds good.
Is there a reason why we're restricting it to, was it 12?
Our population of females in the jail isn't nearly as large as our male population, so.
So we're not
trying to-
restricting it, we just don't have the need for it.
Yep.
There are two main things. One of it is that. So if you look at the male population of the jail is about, what, 390 something currently?
70 minus possibly 80.
268-ish.
So compare that to the female population.
We're
About 81.
So 81. So I think part of it is just the need, and if we extend our numbers up to 25, part of it is the judges have asked, they don't want the pressure of having to worry about keeping that field at 25 to start. Let's start at 12, and we'll go with 12. Part of it is honestly based on the budget, and that the 418 we have, in extending that to 8 or 9 months, that's about as much as we can fit into our budget to cover in the staffing patterns that we have.
Are we taking on new area of the jail? Is that, okay. So this will be totally separate towards the,
In a sense. It's in the
Okay.
same area. It's just another housing unit.
Yeah, can you come up?
So you gentlemen are familiar with the setup of the current CAS program, where the intake area is at, and where they currently have their clients. If you go right on down the hall, there's a unit there referred to as South B. It's currently vacant.
Okay.
It's right next door to our current female inmate housing unit as well. And that was kind of part of the setup, as we wanted their females in the same area as ours, even though it's just several feet right down, just because of security related issues and classification issues and making sure that there's no mix there. As far as overall jail operations, there's really not going to be much of an impact. Greg and his staff has been absolutely fantastic in working with us and making sure that there's no intermingling, and we go walk through and check on them, and they keep us apprised of anything or any needs they have. So as far as overall jail operations, it should be minimal. Just got a few little maintenance issues to take care of to get the block ready. For the most part, it's there. We're just waiting.
okay. Still voluntary program,
None of the parameters going to change on that.
misdemeanor only,
Correct.
okay?
And basically, we had at least 2 units of the jail that were vacant, and we're shifting them over to cask, and it's not, corrections officers aren't the staff of the cask program. It's other security personnel that aren't corrections officers.
That is correct, sir. Yes, you have an independent.
We cover all the security. Now, there is, we're trying to figure out, so with this grant, there comes a lot of not allowables, things you can't use the money for. And we're not sure yet, based on definitions, if we can actually pay for security. So we might end up hiring those individuals in-house and calling them residential managers or something. But we cover all security on site, although the corrections officers come through 4 times a day. And we're on camera there, so we work in tandem with them. But the actual coverage. Now, there is something unique about how we're setting it up. Before, when CAS was run and they had a male and female pod, there was a control room that overlooked both. We're not going to have that. So that will have the need to have security on both units at all times.
Right, I don't think we've ever had a female pod, have we?
Well, there
We
was,
started with
Talbot House ran
Yeah,
it.
we
Oh,
had-
with
We
Talbot.
had 2, we
We
had
have-
2 at the time. We started with females, actually.
That's
We
right.
expanded it to include males, but they were in, I think they were in A and B,
Correct.
and now
A
they're
little
in
different
B.
setup, right?
Hey, Tom, not to put you on the spot, but currently with the general fund, our budget, it's about, what, 500,000 for the males,
It's about 417,000.
or 17?
So we're about at that same number.
So we're going to get the same number, but Karen or anybody, I guess, following year, if we qualify and get the 788, what's the plan for that? Because it's obviously a little more than we need, but are there ways to use that?
Yeah, and I assume what we'll have to do is submit for what we want to use that money for, and we would have a chance to reevaluate the budget. I think we put some things in there, for example, the board is paying for some of the things in CAS currently. The grant could take that over, and then we would free up those dollars to use elsewhere. So some of it is kind of just moving money around, but I think it would give us the opportunity to do other things, maybe expand MAT even more at the agency level in terms of referrals coming out of CAS. So it gives us great possibilities going into next year.
When you were explaining the grant initially, I didn't hear it, but does it have to be female? I mean, does the
That's
funds
what we
have to be?
requested. I
That's
think
what-
if we changed our mind, we could probably ask the state to look at that, but right now, that is what everybody wanted. We knew that that was a gap in the system when we put this in, and so that's what we asked for. We might be able to use some of the money next year to expand men more, if that was necessary. I think that the money is for the CAS program at this point. And I should probably clarify too, that the county will continue to hold the contract for this program. The board simply found the funding for you. This will continue to be a contract between the county and Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health. We are going to turn the money over to the county for you to be able to maintain that contract. So we were simply the middleman to get the funding.
Great. Well, I'm too excited. I think it's been one of the neatest programs around. And Greg, thanks for yourself and Karen for getting the grant and working. But I'm still surprised that we're the only county of 88 that has one, a cask that is. And we need to start telling more people about this maybe.
Jackson County did a tour recently, and they are close to working that through. They've actually been calling us since that meeting twice to try to do some coordination.
Yeah, I guess we're just unique in that, you know, we've got a jail which was underutilized and the space available and it's paid for, and most counties don't have that kind of the resources or the flexibility,
I
the partnership.
really again think a lot of this is due to the partnership, that everybody really worked together. I think we tried to create something that met everybody's needs, all the way from the clients up to, you know, the county itself. And I think that's what is unique about us.
I think ultimately the first review we had here recently, the outcomes are positive, and that's the key. You know, people are not leaving jail and coming back in. We're reducing and restricting that revolving door that we've seen in the past, and people are getting better lives as a result of it too.
Well, you know, you're getting an opportunity to, instead of criminalize this particular behavioral health challenge, you're able to get those people into a captive audience and give them the tools that they need to seek assistance. And we all know that it may not take in that first time, but they've been introduced to the tools. And sometime after there, when you've had enough, is a lot of times when people make a decision. And that's the really neat thing. Another thing I wanted to let you know is when Jackson came in and they looked at the CAS program, they were extremely impressed with that. But one of the things I wanted to make sure that you guys as captains, and Joe, you as a jail administrator, they just could not believe the cleanliness of that jail, nor can I. You guys do a great job taking care of not only the cast areas, but the jail in general. You bet. You're welcome.
And if I could go off script for just a minute.
Right ahead.
Mr. Painter's going to know about this because he was with us yesterday at the opiate conference. But the last 2 days, there was an opiate conference up in Columbus, and Mr. Painter was there as well as a very large contingent of people from Clermont County. And in all talking together Monday night, one of the things that we were all discussing was, while the conference was very interesting, we really didn't hear a whole lot that we're not already doing. I think Clermont County really is leading the state in the inventiveness and creativity that we've used and the partnerships we've done to bring better services to people and to really try to deal with this epidemic, even though it is so bad in our community. And one of the things they did yesterday was to ask board directors, we were given buttons to say thank you to the people who had a real impact on this epidemic. And I see Commissioner Painter is wearing his that he got yesterday. And I will give the other people one too, but I really wanted to give one to Commissioner Ubel and Commissioner Humphrey. Because again, because of their leadership, I think we are in a place that many other counties are not in dealing with this epidemic. And we really do thank you. So,
We've had
I
great.
did one, Commissioner Painter, she doesn't want to hear one.
And I will give you a second one so that you can give one to someone else as well. Thank you.
We've had great leadership, you and the team that have been working on this, so thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Hey, Karen, can I ask a quick question regarding the funding for year two? When will you be notified of the year two funding? So fast forwarding to 2018?
My guess, it is tied to when the federal 18 budget is approved. There would have to be
Okay.
an allocation in the federal budget. And as you well know, sometimes that happens on time. Sometimes we have continuing allocations and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So I don't know when exactly, but we will obviously be watching very closely.
Okay.
And we'll certainly be connecting with our our federal legislators to make sure they're aware that this is something very critical to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Just for the board's consideration, this is the last year of our contract. So next year, in 2018, probably early spring, will be the request for proposal to continue to operate the cask. So what we can do is the funding is a little tricky because it ends in April. So theoretically, if we would not move forward next year, we'd have a gap of about a month that we'd have to fund for the female portion. However, we should know about the funding, I would think, Karen, by April of 2018, hopefully.
I would hope. I mean, again, this is something that's affecting every single state in the United States. I don't think they can let this hang very long. There are too many people affected by this. So it's our hope that we will get notice fairly soon that this will be a program that the Congress and the Trump administration will support.
So if we go through the RFP process in early spring next year, we can put some contingencies in that RFP for the funding. So we should be able to cover that if we need to.
Something you didn't touch on about the opiate conference that we just went to is that Monday morning, the place was prepped for about 970 seats, for the opening. And yesterday, it went beyond the 970 and filled the entire balcony there. So I would say that there were well over 1,000 people in attendance. All of these people working towards this exact same cause. And one of the things that was talked about was burnout rate. Some people have been working hard on this for 8 years. And obviously, when you're associated with this type of an epidemic, that can weigh heavily on you. So for those who have stuck all these years and who are still in it and fight it every day, my heart goes out to you, and make sure you take care of yourself.
Do they have a presentation on cask at the program, or wasn't it
was last year,
appropriate? Was
actually.
last year?
Last year, we had 5 presentations at that conference, and Cass was one of them. This year, we had one, and it was on our recovery coaches. So,
Good.
but yeah, I am not surprised that we might be asked back again, especially because we are expanding just to maybe come next year or the year after.
Good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, moving on to the, continuing on the regular session, we've got the consent agenda in front of us, which we received last week. I'm sure we all reviewed it. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as shown.
So moved?
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Aye.
Bugle?
Yes, and moving over to page 5, we have the non-consent agenda. Item 12, to pay our bills, Resolution 103-17, in the amount of $3,515,333.28. Can we get a motion to pay the bills?
It's a little bit higher than we've had in the past, but I move we pay our bills.
I second that. Any explanation on the increase?
Distributions to the schools in there,
Right.
so that's twice a year we do that, so that it usually jumps it up.
Seems like last week we didn't pay much, yeah.
There is. There is.
OPWC and OWDA. So those are, again, just twice a year payments, and if they roll together, you're gonna see a big jump.
So Suki didn't get a pay increase. No.
I'm still driving the old car.
So we had the motion?
I had a
Approved
motion,
it?
Mr. Humphrey, did I have a second?
You did. Second?
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Bugle?
Yes. Item 13. Joe, I assume you're here for this,
He is.
as well as the cask, which I know you're a real proponent on.
I am. I'm excited about our cast. Judges are looking forward to serving females. What Karen didn't bring up is, there is an issue with just serving males and not serving females. I mean, it's kind of it's certainly an issue that we want to make sure everybody gets the proper treatment. And I'll tell you, Karen does a real good job, and we've enjoyed partnering with GCB. It's been a real good experience. So we're certainly looking forward for that. But this is an addendum to our community corrections grant an amount of $2,983. And the addendum was an increase with Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. I asked for an increase in the amount that they give us for our quality assurance officer. And 2005, I applied for money, and over time, we looked at how much time Jamie Lutzen, who is our quality assurance person, actually spends. It was more than 35. It was about 70% of her time, so we asked for an increase. So she does quality assurance for our office. She monitors our standards, looks at case audits, and makes sure that probation officers are following evidence-based practices.
So that's the addendum.
Okay?
I don't know if you have any questions about our grant or about quality assurance and what we do, but I was happy to get that a little bit of an increase. It certainly justifies, some of the commitment that Jamie Lutzen has and our office has to ensure that people are getting the proper service and dosage hours. We look at risk and needs. We look at how we deliver services, and we have hundreds of offenders and thousands of cases. So it's one of those issues that's real important to me to make sure that we're reducing risk factors.
I know we approved this last year and we've increased it, but how many years have we done this in the past? Is this relatively new, or we do this every year?
I don't know if I understand the question.
The base grant,
Yeah, we've had this grant for,
a long time.
I think, 1992. So we've had it for a long time. We've had our quality assurance position added since 2015. And again, that's why I asked for a little bit of an increase. DRC had some monies left over. I don't know, left over, but they had some monies available. And it wasn't a very difficult move for DRC because they want to move into the area of quality assurance. So yes, we've had it for a lot of years, and we have community service work as part of that grant agreement. We have intensive supervision, and then we have the quality assurance piece of it that they partially fund. And then we have monies for incentives and some other things for our office.
Great.
Thank you much.
Commissioners, we need a motion then to execute an amendment or addendum to the subsidy grant agreement for the community-based corrections program with the State of Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections as referenced in item 13. Can we get a motion to that effect?
So moved?
Second.
Painter.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. You're looking good.
Me too.
Okay, we have a need for executive session pursuant to section 121.22 G1, G3, and G6, busy day, of the Ohio Revised Code. First, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation, or one or more public employees, and secondly, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation, and thirdly, to discuss details relative to the security arrangement and emergency response protocols for a public body or a public office, respectively. Can we get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved under those sections.
Second.
Humphrey.
Aye.
Painter.
Yes.
Shubel.
Yes, we shall be back. We are back from executive session. No decisions were made or votes taken. There are no add-ons, so we had asked for the minutes to be prepared, which they were, and we have copies in front of us. When we get a chance to review them, we'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the regular session of June 14th, 2017.
Commissioner Ubel, we had one clarification on the personnel actions. Shepard, that is a return from administrative leave, and that's reflected in the minutes.
Who was it?
Mabel Shepard,
Okay.
That's the return from administrative leave. We were not
Yes.
placing her on leave, and that's been reflected in the minutes.
That's right, okay. Sorry about that, you're right.
Is that the first of the two, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, because she's on there twice, right?
Well, she's on there twice, but we had already addressed, I believe, the
We had placed her on leave
administrative leave, and this is
prior, so
return
this is
from
her
there.
return, effective
Okay.
today.
Yeah. The other one is a job change.
Okay.
Okay. Good, thanks, Tom. So, is there a motion to accept the minutes as prepared and with the changes Tom mentioned?
So moved?
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. If nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Have a great Flag Day.